Welcome everybody to episode 85 of Disney with the Ducks. Tonight, you've got John Krull, that's me, and I've got some of my favorite members of our flock here with me tonight. We've got Gene.
Favorite? One of our, okay. Yeah, hey, nice to see y'all.
Save the best for first, right?
Right.
We've got Kevin.
Hey, how's it going?
Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
And Jody.
Hi, friends.
All right.
Favorite
Happy
Last.
Sunday, everybody.
I think it's
Detroit
age
Lions
before
are now
beauty,
2-0.
Gene.
What?
I said favorite last because Jody was last, and then Jeff said age before beauty. I don't know what that means
You're old.
because I'm so young. I don't know. So anyway.
Well, all right. Ohio State had a good weekend this weekend.
They did.
Beating Notre Dame, which the one time I'll ever want Ohio State to win, because that helps Michigan when we play Ohio State in November, and you guys are undefeated and ranked number 2 or 3, whatever is one spot behind Michigan at the time, and you have that solid victory over Notre Dame. So I was actually happy for an Ohio State win for one of the first times in history.
Well, thank you,
So,
John. I
you're
wish I
welcome.
would have known that. I would have been sending you texts all night.
I don't need that. I was in Chicago with my kids, so I didn't even see the game. I forgot it was even on. I also missed Michigan beating Rutgers, but yeah, that's bound to happen. All right. Well, tonight, our topic that we're going to get to, it has something to do with the question that we're going to ask everybody in the flock tonight about trying to get to know each other a little bit better. But before we get to that, just wanted to remind everybody to go out and leave your reviews. 5-star reviews are preferable, and that'll help some of your friends find us. It'll help other people who are looking to get involved in the Disney community find us. So that'll really help us out. So if you go do that, and we will read through some of the new 5-star reviews when we get them. So the question for tonight is going to be, what is your favorite restaurant? Kevin, let's start with you.
All right, so mine's a local place that probably nobody will never go to. But if you ever are in the Nashville and Franklin area, we have a really good steak place downtown Franklin called Cork and Cow. That's my favorite. They make a fantastic steak, really good sides. They have a bourbon bar. I mean, it's a great place. It's sits right there on Main Street, so you get to walk around Main Street in a small little town kind of feel. Jeff has been there before, so he's seen downtown Franklin. It's kind of a fun little town. There's little places to walk around and stuff, but that restaurant knocks it out of the park every time. Any kind of special occasion, that's where we end up going. So that's my place.
Okay, so this is more of like, is it also a place you'll go on a random night too, or do you just save it for those special occasions?
You can just to go hang out at the bar and have appetizers or something like that. But if you want to get a really good steak, that's where you go. That's the place.
Awesome. And I like the name. What, Cork and Cow?
Cork and Cow. Yeah.
Love it. Jody, I bet you have probably a long list of favorites in the restaurant.
I do, but really, quite frankly, my favorite is any place where I don't have to cook or do the dishes. So it just depends on what mood I'm in. If I want fancier, if the kids are with us, or there's way too many to list. So I don't know. I mean, I can't. We just went to Boca for our anniversary Friday night, so I guess I'll say that one because that was the most recent, and we allowed the sommelier to do wine pairings with each course, so it was pretty awesome. But that's not an everyday occurrence that we can go to a place like that. So
is that a fancier place then?
Bougie, the way that we choose to do it, yeah.
Okay. All right. What kind of food do they have?
French influence with a little Italian flair. Hot, very high end. Beef Wellington is probably Tim's favorite thing there.
Very European.
Yes. But I think it's more French. Some other people think it's more Italian, but I think it's
both are European though.
Yeah,
so.
They are both
still
European.
continental.
Yes, they are.
Jeff, what's your favorite restaurant?
I'm going to take it from Jody's level here down to about here.
That's my boy.
Probably about a quarter mile from where I live, there's a tavern that I go to pretty frequently. I'm there usually a couple nights a week. Everything's cooked in a wood fire oven. They do steaks, they do strombolis, they do pizzas, they'll do all kinds of stuff. It's always fantastic food. It's always good service. It's kind of like Cheers anymore. When you walk in, they're just like Norm. So that's
Why do
kinda
they
my
call
go-
you Norm?
Huh?
Are you a
Why do they call
postman?
you Norm?
I kind of look like
That's
George
weird.
Wendt at this
That's
point.
weird.
Have you seen me? I'm like channeling my inner George Wendt.
Wait,
So
Norm's
always-
not. I mixed up Norm and
Cliff.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cliff. So Norm's the accountant,
A little known
right?
fact.
Yeah,
So it makes sense that you're Norm.
slightly pudgy in accounting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But no, some of those pictures you send us from your meals at that place look
I know.
amazing.
I love going there. It's always great food. Actually, we're every Thursday night Stromboli night there. So we go every Thursday. A group of us always go, and
Man, that's the best when you find a small, like kind of hole in the wallish place like that that has amazing food. Oh, those are always really good. All right, Gene, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, I've got different levels. I mean, I've got high end place that I like to go for like anniversaries and stuff, and stuff that's still another place. It's and then there's the lower end. But Christy and I had a reason to celebrate. I start a new job tomorrow, and so we went to dinner at a place called the Silver Star Smokehouse, and it is, they just opened. They have several different locations, but it's local, and it's really good steaks, and it started off, as more like a not low key barbecue, but nicer barbecue. But it's just gotten to a place where they're really expensive, really nice steaks and potatoes au gratin, and they did a wedge salad. But it's not like a really fancy place. But you pay close to fancy prices. But anyway, it's really good. It's just good. It's real casual atmosphere. It's good. And the main location has a stage, and they have live music and stuff too. We don't ever go for that. We just don't. But maybe one day. But either of the places, we've done parties there. I did a surprise birthday party for Christy there one time. And we've done my daughter's birthday there before. It's really, really good food. We were talking about, like a chain like Texas Roadhouse. We always say that for the money, that's the best steak you can, like at a chain, you can get for the money, I think.
I agree.
But this is like we were just talking about this. I mean, like you can cut this ribeye with a fork, and it's just so tender, and the meat is such a better cut of meat, and it's cooked to perfection, and the potatoes au gratin are absolutely amazing. It's really good, really good. I'm making myself hungry. Yep.
Man, now I'm really hungry too, Gene.
And the main location, they have these things that we didn't get the other night because they didn't have the location by us. But it's they're called Texas toothpicks, and they're either sliced onions or sliced onions and sliced jalapenos that are breaded and fried and served with some kind of remoulade sauce or something like that.
Yum.
So amazing. So I could eat that. I can eat everything in there. I'm never full when I'm full when I leave, but I never stop because it's just so good. I just gorge myself.
As you should. Why not?
Yeah.
Right. Huh. Now I'm really hungry too. I think my favorite overall restaurant to go to, just for any situation, is this little barbecue place we have here. They actually have a small chain in the east side of Detroit. It's called Bad Brad's, and it's a barbecue place. They have awesome food. It's really like a nice ambiance and everything. It's like your typical barbecue place, like all wood paneling and everything. And they have amazing drinks too. And beyond that, they take food allergies really seriously. So I'm able to eat there safely every time I go, which is a really big deal because it's hard to find places like that. So yeah, but they have amazing brisket, really good pulled chicken, pulled pork, anything you want. They have just such an awesome menu. And they have like 3 or 4 of them around the area. So if you're ever in the Detroit area and you want good barbecue, check out Bad Brad's. It's an awesome place. And we need to get them to sponsor us now. That'd be nice. So give us a call. But yeah, so that's my favorite, I think, overall. But it depends. Like Jody said, sometimes you want to go to a fancier place, and sometimes you just want to go to get food and get energy. So yeah, but I think any situation I could go to Bad Brad's. All right. That brings us to our topic for tonight, and it's Disney dining tips. So anybody who's been to Disney before knows the dining situation can be difficult to navigate sometimes. There's a lot of different restaurants, and the price points can go from, you know, a $5 hot dog up to going to Vicky and Al's where you got to wear a suit coat and, you know, the chef comes out and talks to you type of prices. So there's a lot there. So we're going to run through some of kind of our tips and what we think about when we're planning our trips related to dining. So Gene, we know you love food. Do you want to kick us off with one of your big tips?
One of my biggest tips is that most of the time when I've gone to Disney, it's been for races and it's been with my race partner, Lonnie. And so my biggest tip for dining is let Lonnie make the plans, because he knows the best restaurants. I've been introduced to, you know, Polite Pig and oh my gosh, my mind is blank. The place with the fried chicken. Homecoming, Artsman's Homecoming. And yeah. So yeah, that's my biggest tip. Let Lonnie make the plans.
That is a really good tip. Yeah. And make sure you connect with your family and friends that are going on the My Disney Experience app, so you can plan for each other. Or in Gene's case, you can let your friends plan for you.
That's my favorite way to do food anyway. You know?
Yeah.
Let somebody else make the plans.
And Lonnie seems to have pretty good taste. So there we go.
Never steered me wrong yet.
Kevin, what's something
Except
you
for
tell
the popcorn.
people?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Popcorn.
I still don't buy that it was popcorn, but
I think it was Guardians that did it.
yep.
Something with
Evil
Guardians.
Ride.
Yeah, my tip is very similar to Gene's. I'm probably not the best to ask about dining tips, but I will say that when you are on a race, if you don't have a Lonnie going with you, a lot of times with our running group and, you know, with the Lizards going down for a big race, they have a spreadsheet where people have made, you know, dining reservations. And if you want to try something that you haven't tried before, sometimes there's spots open for that. And that's kind of how I got in with the Lizards, and just hopped on there and put my name down and showed up at the restaurant.
That's how we ended up in the back seat of a Chevy Bel Air, watching, at the drive-in, sharing a milkshake.
Yeah. So don't be shy. Put your name out there and get on some of the lists, and don't be afraid to go have a milkshake with somebody in the back seat of a car that you never met, unless you met them at 4 a.m. in a parking lot.
Or you met them on the internet.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. All right. Jody, what's one of your big tips for Disney dining?
So I'm going to go back to the basics and say, be aware of your dining window opportunity. If you haven't been to Disney before, or you haven't been in a while, you may not be aware of how early you are permitted to book a sit-down restaurant, which is not a quick service restaurant. So there is a difference there, but kind of learning that language and learning what you can book ahead of time and what you can just walk up to the window or walk up to the app and use that day. So it does take a little bit of homework, I'd say. Maybe ask friends who've been before what their favorites are, but don't forget about your 60-day window and try to make sure that you know what that date is. Because it used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past, wasn't it 180 days, or am I totally making that up?
No, it was.
Is that a fever dream?
It was insane. I don't know what I want to eat 2 days from now, let alone 6 months.
That's a tough thing to do, is plan that far out. Is there a different, and most of my tips aren't going to be as much tips as asking y'all questions. So one question with what you said, Jody, is your 60 days, right? So is that regardless of whether you're staying at the resort, or does it change?
From my understanding, and you guys can jump in if I'm incorrect here, but if you're staying on site, you can book it for your entire length of your stay. If you're staying off site, then you have to do it every single day for that following day. So like if you're staying at Pop Century and you're checking in on Monday and you're checking out on a Friday, you can book your sit down restaurants if you're wanting to do some of those for your entire stay. But if you're staying at the local Marriott, you don't have that same availability. You would have to log in every single morning or make the phone call every single morning.
And that's one of the things I was going to say for a tip is when you're booking your dining for your trip, if there's a restaurant you really, really want, you probably want to book at the earliest date you possibly can for towards the end of your trip, because those dates won't have had as many people able to go in and book dining for those days. So that's something to think about too, is, how you want to structure your reservations during your trip. Because, like we said, I mean, you're booking this stuff 60 days out. Do you really know what you want to do 2 months from now? So you got to be prepared to, put like maybe up to 3 hours of time in the middle of a day for a dining or a lunch reservation, between transportation, getting there, eating, paying your bill, and then getting back to a park or wherever you were at. It's a quite a time commitment. Jeff, what do you got for us?
My first tip is to research a little bit about the different restaurants. There's tons of websites out there that shows you what their menus are, what the prices are, up to date and current. You can kind of see where they are and locations for things, and kind of plan ahead that way. Go to watch YouTube channels regarding some of that, but kind of know what you're getting into the restaurant before you go, instead of just randomly trying to pick blind when you go to book them.
Yeah, because there's so many different themes and everything, and just locations and everything.
Who wouldn't do that?
You?
No, well, I mean, I eat just about anything, but I always look at I always look at a menu. I always look and see, what I'm getting myself into. But it's not like, if somebody made the plans, I'm probably not going to, poo-poo the plans, because
So
they
it
eat
doesn't
everything.
matter. Yeah, just show up.
That doesn't
and
really
eat.
matter. But I'm curious. I want to know, I want to plan ahead. I want to, it gets, I love food. I've talked about my, my couple of toxic relationships, and one of those is, unhealthy relationships. One of those is food. And so I'll look at the menu just to get excited about the meal 3 days from now. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. They don't even need to bring me a menu at a restaurant. I mean, I've already looked at it. I know what I'm going to order before I even walk in the door at this point.
Yeah.
So that brings up another question too. So there are some, I mean, how likely is it between that window will the menu change, and then are there things that what's the best way to find things that may not be on the menu? Like Jeff, whenever we went to Animal Kingdom, they had the lobster mac and cheese there, and that wasn't on the menu at all. I looked for that and it's never shown. Is there a place, like if you want to research ahead to see some of those special dishes and know when those might be available? Because I mean, if I'm going to that restaurant, I'm going to make sure they have lobster mac and cheese.
I found that All Ears does a pretty good job on their website as far as keeping menu updates and changes pretty frequently. And they'll actually, if you click on the restaurant, it'll tell you the date that they've last updated it, or the date is last changed. So that tends to be my go-to for menus and updates.
Yeah, I like that site a lot too. But I normally start with the app, because it's typically what I have at that. If I'm sitting there waiting for a kid I'm parked waiting for soccer practice to end. I'll pull up the app and be like, oh, what's that menu look like? And you can look at all that on the app, and then if it seems interesting to me, then I'll dig in. And I agree with Jeff. I really like All Ears too, but it's also important to know what you're getting into. And I think Jeff, you kind of mentioned that too. Is it a buffet? Is it a sit down? Is it some restaurants are only lunch and dinner, and so you could be wanting to eat there for breakfast, but maybe they don't serve breakfast. So you do have to kind of look a little bit and spend a little time making sure that you play around and know what restaurants are available for what.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Just the variety is huge.
Yeah.
One of my big tips too that I was going to mention was, when you're looking at what restaurants you do want to go to, if you find one you really, really want, like say you really want to go to Ohana, if it's booked for the day you want to go, keep checking, because people change their plans all the time. And now I think, 2 hours before is the window to cancel. It used to be 24 hours before. So the night before you'd see a bunch of cancellations, but now you'll even find those that day, just from a family that got tired and doesn't want to go, or found a different restaurant. So make sure you really keep checking back in the app for availability, because it does change pretty frequently.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip, because I also, I don't know if you all heard, but the app has also updated. It used to be, let's say you wanted to go to Ohana at 6 o'clock, and you would put in the app, Ohana, 6 o'clock, and you press submit, and it'd say no tables are available. Now the app shows you all the times that are available. So let's say you had put 6 and it said nothing was open, but now they may have a 2:20 available. Well, I don't know. Is Ohana open for lunch? I don't know. But anyway, they'll have some random time they'll show now. Instead of just telling you that's not available for 6 o'clock, it's going to give you all the booking windows. So I don't know if anyone's played with that new feature yet. It just came out not long ago, but I was trying to show a friend of mine who's getting ready to go for a trip. And it's a nice update. I have to admit that this is one app update, as long as it works, that I think they did a nice job with, because it gives you, maybe you aren't really set on going to dinner, you would take lunch too, but in the old app you would never know that lunch was even available. It would just tell you that your time wasn't available, and you'd be like, well, I guess I can't go. So
Yeah. Or you have to search every time.
yeah,
Search
and
for
that
breakfast,
was,
search for lunch, search for dinner. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a really good update they've made, and should make it much easier for people to find, if they really want a certain restaurant, to find a time. All right. One other thing I was going to mention, kind of around trying different restaurants and stuff, is become familiar with the restaurants, but don't be afraid to try new things. If
Yeah.
you look at the Nine Dragons menu and nothing really excites you, but your friend happened to have a reservation there, like, go and just try it out, because the restaurants are so good, and they have so many different types of foods, and all of it is just so exciting and fun because of the atmosphere and everything else. So that's another thing, is just don't be afraid to try new things.
Live Moss, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Live
the
Moss.
chefs and all are real accommodating too. If there's something on a dish you don't like, they're really good about, or you can't tolerate. They'll work with you.
Yeah, and they're pretty creative too with what they can come up with. So it's because we've had a lot of those issues too, just around the food sensitivities and stuff. And yeah, the chefs, if it's a kid, they'll make them something really fun and cool. If it's an adult who will ask them to make them something really fun and cool, they will. So it's those guys are awesome. All right, anybody else got another tip they want to share?
My next one, since we're talking about reservations, is don't limit yourself just to finding reservations on MDE, especially for the Springs. Check on OpenTable. A lot of the restaurants in the Springs they might not be available on MDE, but they do have openings on OpenTable, and we've been able to secure a lot of reservations there through that way.
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
It doesn't really work as much in the parks, but Springs really helps.
Yeah, no, it does. It almost, you can almost always find one if it's not available on Disney. That's a really good tip.
So I've got sort of a tip. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I've got sort of a tip that's kind of a question too. I know that if you do an early morning breakfast at a sit down at a restaurant in one of the parks, you actually can go in the park before anybody else. Maybe share with me and everybody else listening, how does that work? And so what would be a good time to pick? I know it kind of depends on the time of the day the park is opening, but when you're looking at 60 days out and you want to get in the park before anybody else, kind of get a jump start on a ride, what's the best way to do that?
I think for me, it's like at Magic Kingdom, go to Crystal Palace, get the breakfast buffet. The food is awesome. Try and get whatever the earliest time they have is, because once you're done eating, you can go out and like kind of queue up to get into the different lands. So they'll let everybody in, from the restaurants into a certain area, and then everybody from that point, you go up to the next kind of queue area. So you can get a great meal and get into the park early, and then still get to kind of the front of the line for Seven Dwarves or whatever it is that you're there for that morning.
And that, I would say Crystal Palace and Cinderella's Royal Table are the two that came to mind for me, because you can be in Magic Kingdom without the masses. And so you can take a couple quick selfies and photos, or maybe just of your kids without 8,900,000 people in the background of your photo. So that's kind of an additional plus. Like you still have to walk with a purpose to your reservation, but you can stop for a minute or two and take a quick little picture or two. You can't do a whole photo shoot, but that's one of the advantages, I think, of doing an early park entry reservation, is getting a little bit more of an empty park experience.
Yeah, that is a really good advantage of that too, because the only people in there are reservations at one of those 2 restaurants, and those are pretty limited. So, yeah, that's a good tip. All right, I was going to talk about the dining plan a little bit. So Disney brought back the dining plan. I know I've seen all the models online and stuff of people putting it in, and for the most part, it seems like, yeah, you probably pay more with the Disney dining plan. But to me, that is 100% worth it, because I don't want to be sitting down to dinner and being like, hey, I really want to get the steak, but it's an extra $17. And so instead, I'm just going to get a piece of bread. And, like that
would kill you, John.
That
So I
would
think
probably
you're
kill
going
you,
to get a piece of bread.
Well, it'll be gluten-free bread. So it'll be 27.
Let's give you a
bucks
carrot
slice.
instead.
Yeah.
One carrot. John gets 1 carrot.
But yeah, like I don't want to do that math in my head when I'm sitting there, especially when my kids are like, well, I want to get this and I want to get the salmon. And I like the all-inclusive kind of feel of it. And paying a little bit extra to get rid of that stress, to me, is well worth it. So the 2 plans they have that they brought back is the Disney dining plan, which is 1 quick service meal, 1 table service meal, 1 snack or non-alcoholic drink, and then 1 of the resort refillable mugs per night of your stay. So, you basically get 2 meals a day plus a snack. And so that's, I think, a really good one for people that but you have to decide if you want to balance quick service or sit downs, right? Because the sit down restaurants can take a lot of time, but they're so good. But then there's also the quick service dining plan that they offer. So that one, you get 2 quick service meals per day, a snack or non-alcoholic drink, and then you also get 1 of the refillable mugs. So that could be a good option too if you've got little kids and you don't know how they're going to be doing, and you don't want set times to eat, but you want to have everything kind of prepaid. So those are the 2 plans that they brought back, and I was always a huge fan of the dining plan.
With a family like yours, John, the quick service plans, because you're with your kids and ages and things, 1 of those meals could probably easily be split between 2 of the kids too. So even though it's only 2 meals a day, throughout the course of your trip, you can easily probably stretch that to 3 for most days. And I know with like me and Ryan, when we go, there's a lot of times me and her just split a meal because there's plenty of food. And they don't really differentiate between kids meals and adult meals and some of that.
Yeah. And that's a really good point too, is the, you were talking about kind of how like you split those and then you have extra meals. Those meals, you don't have to use it on each day. You can have 2 of your table service meals on the same day if you want, and 2 quick service meals a different day. So it's basically the whole length of your stay, those number of nights, and you can use them however you want. But
we've always had to cram snacks at the end of the last day, because they've just kind of piled up. You haven't used them all. I know that wouldn't work for Lonnie because he eats like 12 to 15 Mickey bars a day. Yeah. But for us, we've always had them left over.
Yeah, and then you go into the little snack shop and you're getting a million packs of gummy bears, and yeah.
And Gene, you were a big fan of the dining plan, right? You guys use that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What was
several times, yeah.
Why did you tend to use it, and why did you like it?
Yeah, kind of what John was saying. It stresses me out to pull my wallet out at every meal, and to pay ahead of time and have that kind of set out, and then we use a Disney planner who helped us decide. So that's another tip, right? A Disney planner to help you with your dining reservations. We had everything set up before we knew where we were going, what days, what character meals, where we were going. We went the first time we did it with 2 other families. And so, it was great because it's a big group, and didn't have to worry about, like John said, spending the money. We knew where we were going. We had some things that, when we left, we knew we were trying to get into a place that she couldn't get us into. In the middle of the week, she called us and she let us know that she's working some things out, and we were able to get in. I don't remember what restaurant. I can't. What's the Viking place? That was a big favorite of ours. I don't remember if she a chew. I don't know.
Yeah,
Gesundheit. I don't remember. But And we loved it. And I think I could be mistaken because it was so long ago. I think when we did it, we went October, and there was like free dining. I think 2 times we went, there was free dining. And so, I mean, free dining, free food, or even reduced, or even however it is, however you do it, you don't have to pull your wallet out, and it's already taken care of, and you've got your plans made, and it just makes the trip so much easier to me, so much better. And the food we really enjoyed the food, plenty of it. We were stuffed all week. We had me and 2 other, hearty guys, that were like to eat, and none of us were hungry.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought the Disney dining plan back. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's great for people who want that pre-planning and prepaid service. We did it a couple of times. It was we're not soda drinkers, so that whole resort mug was completely lost on us because which we don't drink any soda, so that was kind of always a waste. But it is nice to kind of have all that done ahead of time. One of my tips was, don't book too many sit-down meals on the same day.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're excited and you're like, but I want to go to Cinderella's Royal Table and Crystal Palace because I want to see the princesses and I want to see Winnie the Pooh. That's going to eat up a lot of your park time, and it's also you're going to be really full. It's a lot of food. So I think when we were first learning Disney years ago, that was one of the things that we weren't so great about because we were trying to see, at that point in time, we were really trying to max out on the princesses. So we were trying to cram all those meals in, but it was just too much. Like for our family, at least 2 sit downs was too much. And now there are days that we don't even do a sit down. We just do some quick services because we like the quick service options.
Yeah.
But and then the timing, I think someone else brought this up. I'll give a great example here. Last year after the marathon, we were meeting people at Citrico's for dinner, and we were coming from Pop, and it took us an hour and 45 minutes to get there from taking Disney transportation. Why we didn't take an Uber is, I don't know. We were
Didn't
tired.
want to spend that $10.
I guess we were just not thinking clearly because we had run a marathon that day. But by the time we took the bus to the Magic Kingdom, and Magic Kingdom, the boat over to Grand Floridian, and the whole 9 yards, it just took forever. So keep that in mind when you're wanting to go to a different resort or a different park, and you're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. I really want to go to Hoop-Dee-Doo. Well, getting to Hoop-Dee-Doo could take well over an hour easily. You got to plan that into your time. It's not just the meal, it's getting there and getting back too.
Yeah.
And kind of what you said too, Jody, when you have multiple sit down reservations booked, you're just planning your whole trip around that dining, that you're just constantly working with your watch saying, okay, we got this much time before we have to try to get over there. And you really can't take advantage of the parks and do things like that. That said, I tend to be one of those people who overbook dining on a regular basis. And I'm one of the ones that tend to drop something. I don't know necessarily, do I want to do breakfast this day or do I want to do dinner that day? So I typically tend to book both, not knowing how I'm going to feel, and then I'll end up dropping something. So I'm the reason that 2 o'clock or 2 hour window works for so many people, because I'm usually one that drops that. But
Jeff, I do the same thing. I'll book like a breakfast and a dinner at places we want to go because I know, it's a good choice either way. But then I end up not dropping them, and I just do both. And it, like Jody, like you said, I mean, it eats up a lot of your time and a lot of your day, and you're super full. But like, I love food, and so do my kids. So they all have like, Kara wants to go to this fancy restaurant and Caleb wants to go to this burger place. So they all want different things. I'm like, well, I guess we got to do it all then, just to try to make everybody happy. So that's one of the things too, though. Like you said, you got to find that balance of, do you really want it to be all about food and being rushed in the parks? Or, one of the things I was thinking about for tips is like, quick services are pretty good. You don't have to have every meal as a sit down. We talked a lot so far on this episode about sit down restaurants and reservations and stuff, but there's a lot of really good places you can just walk right up to, order food, and eat. Columbia Harbor House over at Magic Kingdom is amazing. Satu'li Canteen. What's your favorite quick service restaurant at Disney?
Well, you just said two of my favorites. So
Mhm.
we almost always eat at Tortuga Canteen. It's one of our. I mean, I love that place. I, I adore it. I keep trying to try other places at Animal Kingdom, but we always go back there. My daughter loves Columbia Harbor House, so we almost always make a trip there. But we've been really into what is the place right by the castle? The little tiny. They have the waffles.
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
They,
Nutella. And
they've got
fruit.
that spicy chicken sandwich lately.
Uh-huh.
That's been really good. I don't know. I even like the spring roll stand right there too. I don't know. There's an Epcot. I just eat my. I mean, I think I'm like all of you. If there's probably a festival and I'm probably finding something to eat at Epcot, that's the easiest. And
Yeah.
then I don't know. My probably the hardest for me would be Hollywood Studios. Although I do like that tuna poke at in Galaxy's Edge. I can't remember.
Oh,
Dr.
you talked about that.
After day 7. Yeah.
I do really like that. So I don't know. I mean, there's
Yeah, try that.
the other thing that we should talk about though, and I'll let you guys all answer that in a second. But remember, with quick service, there's also it's not only is it cheaper and faster, but there's no tip. And all your sit down restaurants, it's your meal plus it's your gratuity. So and with the Disney dining plan, that was always
Yeah.
weird too, because it was quote unquote included, but then you also had to pay your gratuity on top of that. So just remember that's also a really big difference between the two. Also, is that quick service, there's no gratuity, and the sit down there is. And now I'll be quiet and let you guys all answer that
Well,
question.
so then at the sit down restaurants, that's going to cost you another 3 or 4%, right?
Sure, cheapo.
Just kidding. Vacation tipping is like another level. So hopefully those people get treated well. Oh man. What about the rest of you guys? What's your favorite quick service?
Well, Jody named most of them, I think.
All
I
of
think
them.
all of them,
Right.
yeah.
I did
They
not.
were all the good ones.
Except the one I really like, Katsura Grill. But I mean, I like other ones too.
It's just pretty much standard chicken fingers and fries. But when we're in Hollywood Studios, we always go to Rosie's because you can sit and listen to all the people screaming on Tower of Terror. And we enjoy listening to the screams as they're going up and down through there.
Mhm.
That is
I
pretty
don't
fun.
think I've ever eaten there.
You know
It's
what?
nothing special, but it's just
It's fun because it's like a little covered place that you can sit
Right.
right on. Yeah.
Mine-
ABC Commissary at Hollywood Studios
too
is
funny.
actually pretty good. I don't know if you guys have ever eaten there.
I have. I was thinking the same thing.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. I like it. All right. Kevin or Gene, you guys want to share any other of your favorites?
I can't remember any names. I've got to go to the interwebs because I just can't off the top of my head. I'm not like you goons. I can't remember,
I know one
the
you
name of
like.
places. Which
That
one?
It's in Epcot, and it's in England.
Oh
They
yeah.
have- chips.
They have fish and chips. What is it's Yorkshire, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, look at me. I'm helping you out there.
I appreciate it. And I like Casey's Corner with the hot dogs. Chili dogs for sure. And I'm just going through the list right now because I've eaten a lot of quick service and they kind of all just kind of run together for me. But I was trying to think of, oh my gosh, it doesn't matter. It's not important.
What about you,
Okay.
Kevin? Any others?
Mine
that-
is big surprise. Ronto Roasters is my favorite.
Yeah, I know you like it.
But yeah, and of course Yorkshire fish, love that, and Casey's for sure, and Satuli. Those are my each park. Those are my ones that I have to go to.
Now, John, is the fish is that gluten free? Is that batter gluten free, or can you eat that or no?
No.
No. Do they have an
No.
option that's gluten free or no?
No, at Raglan Road,
Yeah.
at Disney Springs, they do. So they actually have really good gluten-free fish and chips, and they don't share a fryer
Okay.
with any of the gluten stuff. So yeah, it's I only had it once and it was really good. So I'm excited to go back there again. But yeah, that's a place I want to go at night though, because I want to see the bands and all that kind of stuff. Me and the kids just went on our way out of town last time. So
The
it's still
dance-
good, but yeah.
the dancing there is fantastic too. Like they have the bands playing, and
Yeah.
the dancers are phenomenal.
Wait, can I dance there?
I'm sure you could. Let me know when you're going because we will definitely film this and It'll be a fundraiser for people buying it.
Springtime surprise. Come on down. We'll get a duck. We'll get a flock. We'll all flock to. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but we'll get a bunch of people to go, and we can dance the night away. It'd be great.
La Cantina de San Angel. Yeah, that's good. I like that at Epcot.
We moved on like 3 minutes ago, Gene.
I know, but I'm still trying to figure it out.
Stop
Though.
reading the list.
Oh, boy.
You got to prepare me for this stuff. I mean, like, hey, what's your favorite? Blah blah blah. Hell, I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember the names.
His internet page just loaded, so he can start communicating now.
Yeah.
At least he didn't turn him off like Lonnie. You know,
He
he
just highlights.
Oh boy. What other dining tips do you guys have? Anything else you want to share?
I have-
Wisdom?
I have a question.
Okay.
So I'm going down
go.
there in October, and I have let's say I have a reservation for 8 people, but I know right now that it's only going to be 7. And if that number changes again and goes to 6 or so, when I've tried to change it in the app or on the website, it gives me no option to reduce the number of people. If you show up and you don't have the 8, I mean, I know it's different for each place, but is there a way to adjust it when you get there? No.
You just tell them when you get there.
Just tell them, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they can make adjustments at the restaurant. But yeah, I've always found it too. It makes you like rebook it, which then you lose it. So
You don't do that.
Just find a couple of random friends in the parks and say, "Here, join us for
Right.
dinner."
Right.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Hey, I think when we went to the milkshake place, man, there was supposed to be more people on that reservation.
It
but
was
ended
just
up-
me and you.
Just ended up being like a, just a date in the back seat of a car,
Kevin, one thing
That's
I've done
nice.
before is if we're in that park and let's say our reservations that evening and I know our number is going to be different, I'll swing by that restaurant and just let them know. And so they can make that available for other people if they can, if the seating works out. I've tried to call the Disney dining number before to let them know about changes like that. And because you're not really calling the restaurant, you're calling some 1-800 number somewhere. I don't think that message ever gets verified and clear. And then they want to try to cancel your restaurant and all that reservation, all that stuff. So that has never worked for me. But like I said, if I'm in the park or near the place and I'm there, a couple hours ahead of time, and I know our numbers are going to be different, I'll let them know.
Sometimes you just don't know. I mean, sometimes you have the best intentions of having, 7, 8 people, whatever. And then somebody gets sick, somebody has to go home and or back to the room. And then it's like, what do you do?
Or someone's tired and cranky or full or whatever it may be,
Right.
And I think it's as long as you have one person show up and eat, they don't charge you the cancellation fee of $10 a person.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I did see that one. That is $10 per person.
One of the other tips that I had that we haven't really talked about is if you've never been before or if you've never done mobile order before, I would definitely watch a YouTube video on how to do that. It's not hard. It just, I know sometimes you're like, where is this on the app and how do I pick it and how do I know my window? But that's a huge time saver. So if you're standing in line, if you're in Galaxy's Edge and you're in line for a ride and you're going to be finished in like half an hour or 45 minutes, you can go ahead and start putting your order in for lunch and put your window for a little while ahead of time. I know sometimes it's a little frustrating because you can't make alterations like you would if you were talking to a human, like, oh, I would like that salad dressing and that salad dressing, which is what my problem is when we go to Chewy Canteen. But it's a lot faster to order from the app, and it's just sometimes though if you haven't done it or if you're not used to it, I would definitely practice it.
For sure. I mean, that's a game. That's such a time saver to be able to do that if you can, especially if you're trying to go and do the most out of your day, and you're just wanting to grab something to eat to hold you over till you do have a sit down meal or something like that. So,
I have a tip.
Go for it.
So, if somebody just randomly invites you to breakfast at Ale and Compass, go. Accept their invitation. and go and have the blueberry bacon pancakes because they are amazing. And or it doesn't matter where it is. If somebody invites you to go somewhere, I mean, I'm just reiterating what's said before, but try. I mean, I don't know that you can go to. I know you guys go a lot, but there's restaurants you haven't been to, and there's restaurants you'd like to go back to that you've been to, and so just take a chance. Eat somewhere new. If somebody invites you to suggest somewhere, try it out. I mean, there's going to be something.
Yeah,
That's
for
my
sure.
story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, no, that's a
And there could be blueberry bacon pancakes. I mean, you just never know. It could be amazing.
I have to tell you guys, I forget where we were. We were out for breakfast, and I guess last weekend in the soccer game, and Landon ordered bacon pancakes, and it was so sorely disappointed because there was hardly any bacon in them. And he was like, these are not as good as Ale and Compass. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not. They were.
Those are hard to
It
beat.
was pretty. It was pretty sad. It was a pretty sad day.
Mhm.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I can see why you would be disappointed, for sure.
I mean, if you're gonna call something, a pancake with bacon, it better have bacon in it.
Better have bacon, yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's just bacon fat.
It's
mixed
very
in.
disappointing when there's not bacon when you expect it.
I know, Jeff. I know.
Oh man. Speaking of reservations and Ale and Compass, one of my other tips was if you're doing a DVC split stay, or I guess even a regular cash rooms split stay, but I think it's more common with DVC folks. But if you're staying at one resort then moving to another, you'll have two different reservations. The system won't just let you make your dining reservations for the second part of your trip. You have to call DVC member services. They'll go through and they can book it on the phone for you or with you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I got really frustrated a few times because I forgot that happened the time before. And then I'd be like, what the heck? This Disney stuff is garbage and we're not going. Sell the DVC like that. It was weird. But no, so I was getting really frustrated because I'm trying to make reservations for our whole trip and it's not letting me do the end. Like I said earlier, right? The end is going to have more openings. So I ended up calling member services and asking them what the heck is going on. I got both reservations, they're linked, and that's when they explained it all to me. They're like, just call us whenever. But I mean, so it's a bit of a time commitment there. You're going to be on hold for a little bit and then talking to the person for 20 minutes while they book each thing, but that's worth doing because then you'll be able to get the reservations you want.
I have one more tip. It relates to big groups, which I know, Kevin, I don't know if you ran into this or not because you have 8, you said, going with you. Big groups can be really hard to book, and sometimes it's easier to do 4 and 4, or if I don't know if there's 10 of you, 6 and 4, whatever the numbers may be. But don't just automatically assume, well, I can't find that on the app, so I can't get a reservation. Try splitting up your party into 2 different numbers, and then when you get there, explain the situation. They can't always put you together, but more often than not, they can. So I would definitely take the time to at least book what you can and get the numbers down correctly, and then try to arrange it so you can all be together.
Jody, so I have a large group every time I go anywhere.
You do.
Can I do that and split my table 1 and then 5 at a separate table
There you go.
opposite end of the restaurant? Will they do that for me?
Sure. I'm sure that the servers would be thrilled with that.
Okay, good. That's where
But
that
even-
3 to
I was just
4%
thinking about,
tip
like-
becomes a 5 to 6% tip.
There you go.
I was just thinking about
They're on
like,
their
Jeff,
feet.
you got us that reservation last year, Jeff, for homecoming, and that was a pretty big group, right? Like that was, I don't know, 8 of us or so. I mean
Yeah, I think so.
that's a place I heard that's a lot harder to get a big group of people. So I would say just if you can't book it online as one big group, go with 2 smallers and then hope for the best and see if they can put you together.
Yep, that's a good point. All right. Anybody else have any other fun dining tips or questions? Anything like that? No? All right. Well, then now that I'm starving, because I haven't even eaten dinner yet at 10 at night, but that's another issue. Now let's get into our favorite part of the show, quacking up with the ducks. Jeff, can you quack us up?
I'm going to try. It's just we're starting the school year for Rye, and she kind of went out on her own little tangent taking classes this year. And she took a carpenter's class. And so the first week of class, I asked her, I said, "Are you starting to build anything yet?" And she goes, "No, we've only just begun."
I like that. That's good stuff.
For you younger folks, look it up.
Jody, what do you have for us? Can you top Jeff's joke?
Well, what makes me really sad is I actually did have a good story the other day, and now I can't remember it at all. So I'm bummed that this is what happens when I don't write things down. So my joke for the night is, why couldn't the sesame seed leave the casino?
What?
Oh no. Why?
Because he was on a roll.
See, that's a funny one.
I had to stick with my food,
Oh man, Kevin.
Okay, so Alexander came up to me. He's learning some things in science, and he said, "Dad, can you explain to me what a solar eclipse is?" And I said, "No, son."
That's good.
See,
He didn't get
that's excellent. Oh man. All right, Gene, what do you got? What's going on fun in your life?
So much fun. Did you guys hear I got bitten by a wolf?
No.
I went to my doctor and I told him, I said, I got bit by a wolf. And he said, where? And I said, no, a regular wolf.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. So since we were talking about dining tonight, it got me thinking about dining jokes. Why don't cannibals eat clowns?
They taste funny.
Yeah, they taste funny. Oh boy. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Like we mentioned at the beginning, reviews really help us out. They'll help other people find us. So leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, come join our Facebook group, Disney with the Ducks, and join some fun Disney conversations over there. And that's about it. Just please leave us some reviews. With that, I guess I'll just say Kwaherini.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody. Have a good night. Day, whenever you're listening to this.